Thank you, Shelley. So glad that you all turned out this morning to come and listen to some of the new things that enlightened me, that happened to me, that changed my life over the last 30 years, almost 30 years. But the life-changing things happen sometimes without us knowing it. But before I want to share what we do on the Mono Origine project, I want to start on a little journey back in time of how I started, because I feel that it's important, because for you can see where I start, how I started, where I started, and what led me here. So, I need a clicker, sorry. Missed that?
Yes.
Okay. This better one? So my journey started over 3 decades ago. There wasn't much going on in the coffee industry then. I started in 1997. I came back from my studies in Melbourne. I was there about seven years, lived in Melbourne, studied in Melbourne. So over the time in Melbourne, I enjoy the coffee culture in Melbourne. So to some, I think Melbourne, it is still the coffee capital of the world. So when I came back, I did other things. I was in manufacturing and other things. But then one day, my dad came back from Melbourne and he said, I invested in a company called Coffex in Melbourne. That was, I think, sometime back in 95. Yeah. So he came back to me and I said to me, Kelvin, would you like to start a coffee company? I said, no, I know nothing. I have zero knowledge. But then the economic crisis hit us. 97, I believe it was 95, between 96 and 97, yeah. So very tough time. But then a spark of hope came. One of the nights I was thinking, what else to do? I stumbled upon, hey, coffee is such a basic necessity. We all drink coffee, we all drink tea. Apart from tea and coffee, the rest of the things we drink are water. So if coffee is one of the things we drink, I believe that even though when our incomes are impacted, we lost our jobs, we can still afford a humble cup of coffee, correct? If we can't afford that, I don't know what to make of us. So in 1997, I told my dad, I said, I'll start a coffee company. I'll start your coffee company. So we registered the company, we started, and I found it really, really tough. Because for me to even sell a pallet of coffee, a 500 kilo coffee, I need to go one by one to restaurants, to cafe, to try to change their mind about how coffee should be served. Because remember, I came from Melbourne. We have great coffee in Melbourne. We have a strong history of Italian coffee culture in Melbourne. Fantastic. So it was really tough. I even carried a little baby gajah. It's a little machine and a grinder, and to go to every restaurant. At that time, I had only 2 staff, myself and one of my technicians, who's still with me today. He did the machine, he did the calibration, I sell coffee. But it was tough. It's so tough that at first I was completely lost, because a cup of coffee technically only costs the customer, my customer, 50 cents, 60 cents. Just imagine trying to sell 50 cents, 60 cents to build your business to every customer. It's so tough. But nobody knew what a good cup of coffee was. I didn't know what a good cup of coffee was. I just want to share what I know about a drink. So the other thing I noticed at that time, that restaurants needed coffee machines, because without coffee machines, we can't brew the coffee that is what we call espresso, cafe latte, what we drink today. But this process came very slow. So an aha moment came to me. Out of normally tough times, aha moment come to our lives, correct? So an aha moment came to me. I needed to build an industry first That's what I need to build. So let's get the barista in to build the industry. So before getting a national competition sanction, we have to have sanctioned by World Coffee Events. We couldn't get a shortcut. We couldn't send a competitor, a winner from the country into the world stage. We can't do that. There's no shortcut. So there was a regional event that Food Hotel Asia organizes. So, but it comes only one every 2 years. So they called me and say, would you like to send a representative from Malaysia to Singapore? I said, we can do that. We can start a competition. We can do that. So very quickly, we got together a competition. And that competition was called Malaysian Barista Competition, which I founded, the competition. So what you see now on a national competition, I started that thing going on. And that was back in 2005. And I remember the first time we had a competition, it was in Solaris, out in the open air. We had judges coming from Singapore, Indonesia, so that we have foreign judges, not to look that we are cahoots with anyone. So we want it to be very transparent, very neutral. So we did that for a couple of years with very limited resource that I had, because my company was still very small then. We had very limited resources. I did that for a couple of years. Then I needed more people to come and join me to support. So I approached some of our competitors. So some of our competitors came in and support us because this is industry building exercise. So what I tell them is, if you come and join us, it will be for the benefit of the industry. It's industry building. So every time we come to form a competition, to form a trade show, don't look at everyone as competitors. Look at everyone as a building block for the industry. So that's, even today, that's how we, even with our competitors that we have so many now, that's how we perform, that's how we behave. And we are friends, but we do, under business circumstances, compete very strongly against one another. So that foundation was positive. And then the next decade, between 2007, 2017, with the help of Daniel Liu from BJ, he's not here today, but he sent his staff and representative here. So we started and formed MSCA. So we needed a national body to sanction our little competition that we have in the industry, so that we can put our champion in the World Barista Competition. So to showcase our skills. So we became the founding members. That was back in 2013. So we had representatives from every state. Then in 2014, we had Malaysian National Coffee Championship, so which include Malaysian Barista Championship, Malaysian Latte Art Competition, Malaysian Brewers Cup. So we have 3 national competitions. They are sanctioned by WC, World Coffee Events, and we can send our champion to compete. So baristas, so our national champion, one of our national champion, 4-time national champion, he's actually here today, so one of our speakers. So it's Jason Lu. He placed 7th at the world stage. So he's the highest ranked Malaysian barista ever to be on the world stage. And then through our system, we also had Erwin Kwek, who became World Latte Art Champion in 2018. On the same year, 2018, we also had Origine, who became the first runner-up from the Brewers Cup. These are world-level competition, and these are the stars of the industry. They help us move the whole industry forward. And in 2022, Nicky Woon was placed 4th in the world. So, yep, that's my journey for the 2 decades. So during the early days of my journey, I really did not possess any skill. I don't have much skills. I just knew that I need to sell coffee because of my company. So I felt quite left behind. So around 2013, specialty coffee gained a lot of interest in the world. And even in Malaysia, baristas and cafe owners started pushing it. So through the barista competition, it became a platform to push single origins and to push specialty coffee. So it's a plus point because what we have in the market is baristas, talks a lot about it, push the product. We have great coffee in the market. They get to connect directly and engage with the farmers. And the farmers also, because of the quality of coffee they are producing, and there's a buyer to buy their coffee, the income was elevated. So we have great coffee, farmers' income are elevated, very positive. So on my quest for learning, I went to farm trips. So one of the years, I went to Brazil, so just to know what happens upstream, because I haven't gotten any clue what happens upstream. I don't know how coffee was picked, who picks it, how much they are paid, what's the next process, what's washed coffee, what's natural coffee, what's honey process. I have no idea. At that time, I was a little baby. So in 2011, I arrived to Brazil. And that was eye-opening because Brazil was a coffee powerhouse. Brazil is the largest producer of coffee around the world. I think even to today, it represents close to 40% of the world's coffee production. So during that trip, I saw huge farms. I saw farms as wide as over the horizon. I couldn't even see where it ends. Then I also, in comparison, I went to see small farms. Organic farm, smallholders farms, small family farms. And I saw a huge contrast in the way coffee is being produced in Brazil. The smaller farms was struggling. They don't have much equipment. You can see the barn in the fazenda is very run down. The paint was stripping. Machinery was rusting. I can see all that. In contrast with a big farm, they have highly mechanized equipment. Money was well spent, and they were producing monoculture crops. So that's what you get for commodity coffee. So during that trip, I was also very fascinated by how coffee was graded. So in Brazil, a coffee cupper would cup coffee at least 500 cups a day. I was like, wow, these guys can really taste coffee, you know. Bang, 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 they were looking for defects, they were looking for how to grade this sort of coffee. So I was quite fascinated. And I wanted to come back and learn more about coffee tasting because personally, I enjoy tasting. I have a great sense of smell, I have a great sense of taste, I've got a great sense of hearing. Eyesight not so good, I wear glasses. Over the journey, I wanted to learn about coffee grading. There's none to learn. There's none in Malaysia, there's none there's no instructor, there's no courses in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand then. So I had to travel to Australia to learn. So when I was learning how to grade coffee, one of the instructor that took us through the course was a guy called Andrew Hetzel. So we connected. And Andrew was very connected with producers in South America. So I asked Andrew, do you know of any farmers in Brazil that I could buy source directly coffee from? It's not because I want to cut corners. It's not because I want to look for cheaper price. That's not the reason. The reason is I want to connect with a reputable farmer. I need to know what they are producing. I want to elevate the quality. So Andrew introduced me to Fazenda Ambiental Fortaleza. So I looked into it. They were a great family. I was recommended. Even Tim Van Noble, when I was talking, he's an icon in the coffee industry. He coined the term Nordic roast. So even he also at that time works with FAF, Fazenda Ambiental Fortaleza. So I have two iconic people in the industry and even a few others talking about their farm. So I had to find out what's special about their farm. So I connected to FAF, and Felipe came to talk to me via email. Now, I didn't meet him, but we met by chance in Melbourne. So during a cupping session, at the same room, we were cupping amazing coffee from Esmeralda Farm. in Panama. We were cupping geisha coffee. Geishas at that time were the top-end coffee. Even to today, they're the most highly sought-after coffee for quality. And I think recently, last few days, I found out the highest auction lot in a geisha in Panama was, I think, about $10,000 per kg. That's crazy. That's crazy. Even last year was already at 10,000. So this year, again, it happened. Honestly, I don't know who buys them, but if someone offered me, I would be very extremely grateful to have a chance to drink it. So we did a connection directly with Felipe. So we understand that FAF is aligned with my core value, which is quality, trust. They're ethical, they're very family-oriented, and they look after the people. These are the quality we look for in the farm of all the producers. So this was my first batch of Q grader in Malaysia, myself and Yi Fei here, this lady, beautiful lady here, worked with me for many years. We were the first graders in the country. And together with Mr. Lim there, we are the 3 first graders in the country. I don't know what Lim is doing now, but you see that little picture right at the back? That's the 2015 World Champion Sasa Sestic. That's before he even founded Project Origine. But after he became World Champion, he did amazing work. He founded Project Origine. He sourced coffee from excellent farms, great coffee, and yeah, he's now super famous. Over there, next to Yifei is Ryan Kirantan. He's a multinational champion for Singapore. I haven't seen him for a while, but he's very, very passionate. So we were the first graders in the country. So armed with that knowledge, so this me and Felipe meeting for the first time by chance in Melbourne. And we were cupping geisha coffee at the back. So the relationship I had with FAF was one of the year, I think between 2000, when was it? 2013, 14, around that time. Coffee price surge, currency surge, because all the coffee are traded in US dollar, we surge. I told Felipe, I cannot afford your beans because they are priced a bit above commodity, they are premium. I can't afford your beans because we are hit by currency crisis, we are hit by the increase in a commodity value of coffee. But Felipe being Felipe, he came to me and said, don't worry, I'll help you out. All you need to do is don't compromise the quality to your customers. Never do that. Whatever prices you need to meet to cover over this period, I will help you. How many farmers do I know that are willing to do that? And this was the first of many, actually. But so, because of his kind-heartedness, his genuineness, we continue his relationship for over 11 years until today. We are still one of the bigger buyers for FAF coffee in the region. So, but at that time, I was quite ignorant to the struggles of trying to compete in a market dominated by large-scale farms. Nor did I have any sense of what impact it may have in the future of the planet. So during a recent trip in March, I went to Brazil. So I was invited by FAF to Brazil to attend an impact conference, impact seminar. I didn't know what I was expecting. I just was invited. I had to go, took a flight, and I landed. And this gentleman, Marcos, which is Felipe's dad, picked me up from Sao Paulo. Right after dinner, I think about 9-something, we took a drive to the farm. It took about 3 hours. Look at him. He's still driving me, this guy who's never met, 3 hours to the farm. And he's Felipe's father. You guys can more or less guess how old he is? No, how young he is. I won't say how old, how young he is. Give a guess. Doesn't he look like in his 60s? Okay, his 60s. No problem, you stop there. All right. So during the farm trip, I met this bunch of people. So it's a very diverse crowd. So these are customers that were doing more than 10 years with FAF. Some of these people are world famous. I don't remember the names, but I'm in contact with them. We are in connection, and I do some quick search in what are the companies. They have amazing companies. Some are even having a company that's B Corp certified. Some owns Geisha Coffee Farm. One of them is a founder of Johan and Neustrom in Sweden. And after that, he formed a company called, what do we call it? Leke. And they're supplying now, he's supplying sustainable coffee, quality sustainable coffee to 7-Eleven in Sweden. Just imagine that. 7-Eleven don't run cafes, they run convenience shops. And they are buying sustainable coffee. That's the awareness we want to build, right? Most of our convenience shops here are still buying commodity coffee. And we would like that change. We like people to be more conscious. So I do have a lot of work cut out, but I'm happy to do all this work. Okay. Just bear with me. So during the farm trip, I learned so many things. There's so many things that were so new to me. I learned about words like agroforestry, regenerative farming, how climate change impact farms, and how farms impact climate change, and how climate change impact the use of coffee, and how climate change also impact the income of producers. These three things, climate change, environment, farm, what we practice, what we do, and human incomes are all connected. You will see in a minute. So again, there are more things I learned in the farm. I learned about carbon footprint, carbon in the supply chain, EU deforestation laws, how our climate is increasing temperature year by year, how the climate is now contributing to larger, what do you call it, turbulences when you travel by air, colder winters, hotter summers, rising sea levels. All these are connected. And all this has an impact in our life. So during the trip, I learned many things. So when I came back after that, I cannot be learning so much and not doing nothing. So I started to look into this, to be more connected, to be more compassionate. And I formed Origine. It is an awakening for me. To be awakened, to be conscious of everything I do, my business, how I source my coffee, impacts the world, the climate, and the people. So, 11 UFF. So what we realize is climate change is real. It's very scary. When we, as a human, our population continue to grow, we continue to cut down trees to build townships, highway, factories, businesses. We are actually cutting out a piece of the lungs of the planet. Every time we remove a tree, right, we increase temperatures. Because you can go under a tree. If you don't believe me, you go under an area without tree covers, you measure the temperature, and you go around where the trees are, and you measure temperatures. It could be 6 to 7 degree differences. So just imagine if we cut down more trees, what will our climate be? Much, much warmer, correct? So when we cut down trees, not only trees are providing cooler climate, trees actually give us breathable oxygen. The more we cut down, the less oxygen we have. Right? So in many researches that you can Google, you can look into, I'm not going to post up many, it's just too many. They're all indicating that by 2050 to 2060, most of the farmable land in the coffee growing regions will become unfavorable by around 30 to 50%. And just imagine this. If the yields, because of climate change, farmable land are becoming lesser and lesser, what happens to the supply of coffee? What happens? We will have much, much lesser supply. And when we have lesser supply of coffee and demand continue to grow, human population continue to grow, what happens to prices? You keep going up. And we already witnessed this. Last October 2023, until July now, Robusta coffee went up 94%. Arabica coffee went up 58% from August commodity prices. You can search this in ICO, International Coffee Organization. You can search it. Already will tell you that this is a trend. Supplies cannot meet demand, prices are going up. Why? So when you have harsh seasons, yields are lower, bean size are smaller, farmers' income are badly impacted, because you have a backdrop of inflation prices. Cost of fertilizers is increasing, cost of food is increasing. So it's impacting directly on farmers' pocket. And farmers, if you know, are paid very little. How little? Some countries, they are very poor. Farmers are paid less than $5 for a day's work. Just imagine Malaysia's minimum income. Our minimum income is about, I think, 1,008, if I'm not wrong. They are about $16 or $17 per day work. Just imagine some of these farmers in certain countries are paid less than 5. To me, that's human exploitation. So many of the coffee that we source are not through those countries that pay so little. Farmers' income impacted, so correct, because costs are increasing. At that time, coffee prices are still pretty low last year. Some of these are in Vietnam, they cut down trees. Why are they cutting down trees? Because they cannot meet to be sustainable. The income are not sustainable. So when they cut down trees, they are planting durians, they are planting avocados. Why? It gives them 5 times more profit. Any one of you, if you're given a choice to produce something with 5 times more profit, it's a no-brainer. You know, we don't have to think about it. But the moment they cut down trees, they chop down trees, they're not coming back. They left for good. Because every time you plant a tree, coffee tree, it takes between 3 to 5 years to produce coffee. So by the time they exit this business, they're not coming back. And to me, when I see this, it's so scary to me. See, another report, ICO report shows further increase in coffee prices. These trends are real. It's there. It's already happening. So, yeah, and also another thing is over-farming will also lead to soil exhaustion. So the more the soil or Marcos call it dirt, are being exhausted, more the farmers need to buy fertilizer. So, but there's a new way. Marcos will explain there's a new way to do this. The new way is to rehabilitate the land, to make dirt back to soil. And soil will carry the NPK nutrients to the trees. Rather than relying on fertilizers, we are relying naturally, rehabilitating the soil to produce the nutrients back to the coffee. So this interaction between human, climate, farmers' income, environment, they're all connected. So I really feel sad to know about all these things. I feel very fearful because even my business will be under threat. I may not have a business to wake up to one day. Cafe owners may not have a business to wake up to one day. We may need to change. So what I'm thinking of is doing something about it. So with the knowledge of awakening, we created Mono. We want to start a movement of conscious consumption. What do I mean by this? I want every single customer to be aware of what impact our coffee is to the environment. So Mono, we are committed to be socially responsible, ensuring fair labor practice and prices to farmers, good working conditions. We look after the environment. We promote agroforestry, soil and water conservation, and with safe agricultural practice with no deforestation or pollution. So we want to encourage farmers to reforest and not deforest. And we want to uphold fair wages. No farmer must be left behind, because when they leave behind, they're gone, they change. And we want to have more access to farmers to finance and training. So these are the 3 pillars for Mono. So how do we manage this? So we came up with a 27-point checklist to look into social, environment, and economic. We start with critical requirements. When we have critical requirements, these are the minimum standard the farmer that we work with must comply. When we have critical requirement and best practice, is the next level. With best practices, is the ultimate. So if you comply with even best practices, address everything best practice, your score will be 100%. And these are the model farmers that we want to work with. Not to say we don't want to work with anything lesser than that, no. As long as critical requirements are met, we will start engaging with the farmer, and the product will be offered to everyone. So how can you support us? We can help customers consolidate your coffee, which means every source you buy is a container lot of coffee. We offer this container so that roasters, micro roasters, can tumpang, can join our shipment. Once you join a shipment, the freight cost is minimum. It's maybe $1. But if you're doing yourself and not occupying a container, it may cost 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 ringgit per kg more. So we're offering this gesture to get things going. Customers can engage us to roast coffee for them, purchase roasted coffee, optional, sustainable packaging, and we will also create Mono merchandise. So over the next course of year, steps to come, you will see cafe, restaurants will carry Mono Origine ethically sourced coffee, just to support the movement. So even the t-shirt I'm wearing is GOTS certified, it's organic textile, and they look after the welfare of people in the supply chain. Make sure there's no, no human exploitation, and fair wages are being paid. So everything, when we have Mono Origin in the future, into merchandise, you will know that they're all sustainably sourced, ethically sourced. And we will work and in partners with many like-minded people that share this same vision to create a better planet and safeguarding the income of people and farmers. Thank you. I hope I'll change something in you, and I hope in a near future you start noticing the brand and support in small way, big way, huge way, whatever you can, support. Thank you. So for next speaker, I'm leading up to Marcus Gosher, my mentor, my friend, and someone who really transformed me into this journey to look after the planet and people. And he's here right from the farm to share directly with you. Thank you.